They were like, let's roll the dice. Let's see. Maybe we can kill him.
Dear Shandy.
No. No.
Welcome back to another Dear Shandy Golden Bachelor recap, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Oh, man.
I know. I know. I'm overwhelmed with love for this show.
It's almost too much.
Andy cried in this episode.
Oh, you really didn't let that cook?
I mean, I've seen you cry. Like, I can literally count on one hand the number of times I've seen you cry, and this was one of them.
It takes a lot. It takes a lot to make me cry.
That's how good this show is.
Yeah.
Is there any chance someone's tuning in for the recaps only and not watching?
There's not only a chance, it's almost a certainty.
Okay, well, this is, once again, I'm saying, if you are on the fence, please watch this show. I honestly feel like more fulfilled watching it.
I feel like I've been given more than I deserve.
Yes. And that when it's over, the only thing I'm upset about is that it's only 1 hour. Can we talk about that for a second?
It's 1 hour. Bachelor in Paradise is 2 hours.
I know. Someone made a poor decision there. Someone has chosen poorly.
You know what? I think we should just give credit where credit's due.
Yes.
There have been some poor choices, but with all great things, there are mistakes.
Yes.
Man did not land on the moon one day. He didn't say, we're going there. And then the next day he was there.
Uh-huh.
They screwed up a lot of stuff. There was a lot of rockets. You don't see this, but there were a lot of rockets that just blew up before they even got there. They were like 50-50 that the guys in that spaceship were going to survive more than 2 minutes.
Oh my God.
50-50.
Wow. So Golden Bachelor
is exactly the same as man landing on the moon.
So we open with the women strutting up the mansion driveway.
Strutting.
They were strutting.
I mean, these women are really in tip-top shape.
Yeah, Andy, you said so bouncy.
Yeah.
Which sounds wrong, but it was
no,
more
not that kind of bouncy.
No, it was like
but also some of that.
It was just like their overall energy.
Yeah.
They're so full of life. And I think that's one of the things that moves me the most about this season is that I think that there's a general thought that women, let's say over 40 even, are just like shriveled and dried up. So like, let alone 60, 70. And you see this and you're like, wow, that actually looks like a fun chapter of life.
Like, I feel like I would be the curmudgeon in that group.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah. I'd be like, enough. Let's just walk a little slower.
Less strutting.
Yeah.
We get some good shots of the actual mansion here.
Yeah.
I felt like this was the first time they just showed us each room on its own.
Oh, yeah. True.
I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, a lot of good things happening here.
And there was a good pacing of like the women moving into the rooms and picking their beds. I was wondering how that was going to work because I mean, I lived in one of those rooms and I remember there was a bit of a battle for certain beds and not everyone wants the top bunk. I had a top bunk.
I mean, it is pretty funny that
I wasn't aggressive enough to not have a top bunk.
Oh, of course you had a top bunk.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I'll take the top bunk.
Oh.
It's very me.
You gotta be more assertive.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that many days.
The
I'm
reason I
assertive
love
in
you.
some ways.
You are assertive. When you're assertive, you are so assertive.
Yeah.
But generally, you're just not assertive because you don't care that much. You're just like, these little things don't, you know what? It doesn't matter to me.
Things like this, that's not a battle I'm going to pick. Like, I'm not going to be like, I want the bottom bunk because it's just more comfortable, more convenient, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm just never going to be that person. But other things I'll be assertive about.
That's true. And you do lay down the law on occasion.
Okay, so what was your point? The women moving into the mansion, bunk beds. I love how they were calculating like proximity to the bathroom. And Sandra was like, I've had 2 knees replaced. I'm not climbing up to the top bunk.
I mean, it is kind of amazing that they made them live in the mansion.
Okay, here we get Word Watch 1. Susan says, I'm so excited to experience this journey. And they toast to Social Security.
All right.
Okay, so Jesse arrives and drops off a date card. And Nancy says, what's that? Why is this so great? I just love everything about it.
Because it's as if we're watching Bachelor season 1, but with more mature people.
Yes.
Like, what more could you want?
People with a really interesting story to tell. It is so different when you know that no one is there for Instagram.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. For Instagram, for fame, whatever. I don't believe that a single woman there just wants to be famous.
To put it bluntly, the stakes couldn't be higher. And what is better than watching real TV where the stakes are as high as they can be? That's why I like boxing. because boxing is real high stakes.
Oh,
Otherwise, I'm just bored. Like sports to me, like look, I used to be a huge baseball fan, huge. And the Yankees won like 10 world championships, and I was done.
Okay.
I had seen my team win so many times. But my point is sports, there's no stakes. It's just who's going to win more money. Money is not a stake.
Yeah.
Unless it's like you need the money. None of those football players or baseball players are like, if I don't get this money for winning the World Series, my family's going to starve.
Yeah.
There's no stakes. Boxing has stakes.
Okay.
The person's health.
Yeah. That's sort of dark.
It's dark, but it's real. I mean, it's human nature.
That goes to show actually stakes in and of themselves are a little dark. That's what makes them stakes.
Yes. Stakes in life are dark.
Yeah.
And people like to see real darkness.
Yeah.
Because darkness, without the darkness, there's no light.
Oh, Andy, very good. You found your way. Okay, so the date card is for Theresa. And as Susan curls her hair, she reveals she got married to her husband, Billy, at 18.
Yeah.
He was drafted in the Vietnam War. And before he died, he said that he hoped that she would find someone and get married again. And then it was also cute where she's like, maybe you should curl in this direction. And Susan's like, I've been doing hair for 35 years.
Oh, that was amazing. Yeah. So shut your mouth.
Gerry arrives now, and he and Susan head out in a vintage convertible. And now this is the most bewildering scene I think I've ever seen on this show, because it really did seem like the powers that be wanted to kill their Golden Bachelor.
I think this is a potential charge of attempted murder.
I was so confused by this.
First of all, I'm confused entirely by contestants driving a car, period, on a highway. I was always under the impression that if you ever see a scene in a car with people who are getting paid by the union to be in a something, they're being pulled by a trailer. Like
but
the
they're
car
not
is
being
not
paid.
actually driving.
But these people are not being paid by a
The
union.
Bachelor's being paid.
I don't know if it's like a union thing though. He's playing himself. He's not considered talent in that sense.
None of these bachelors are union jobs, I guess.
Well, I don't think so, because when I just think of the visa that I had to get as a Canadian on this show, I had formerly had O1 visas to work in the States as someone with a talent, basically. But for this, it was a different type of visa because you're not considered a performer.
Of course. And also they'd be on strike. That makes no sense what I'm saying. Yeah. Of course they're not in any. I just assume maybe there's a third union. There's like the actors, the writers, and like the regular Joe's union.
When their lawyer, they had a lawyer dealing with this stuff for me. He was like, yeah, the law hasn't quite caught up with reality TV yet, like how it's its own special category. Yeah. And so I don't really think he's protected by some union. I think he's just getting a paycheck.
So they can do whatever they want,
I guess.
But they were like, let's roll the dice. Let's see. Maybe we can kill him.
Okay, so for anyone who didn't watch, although you really should be watching, this drive is super stressful. They drive in this vintage convertible on a Los Angeles freeway.
I don't even
California
think that
freeway.
car had power steering. I'm not kidding. I think that car, you actually have to like turn the wheel.
It's evening, so the sun has set and the headlights are not working. Like one of them's flickering. And the other one seems okay, but it seems very dicey. And he's openly stressed out about it. And she puts her hand on his shoulder and says, "You're doing great."
No, that makes him feel good.
This was such a sweet moment. He really noticed. You could see him, like he visibly relaxed.
Yeah.
And then in his ITM after, he talks about how much that moment meant to him. I was just mostly distracted by how upset I was that they were put in this situation. Look, I wouldn't put it past them, the editors, to have made this seem like a longer, bigger, more stressful drive than it actually was. Like maybe it was just a 5-minute thing.
I mean, my guess, if I had to guess, I'm going to say there was a car in the front and there was a car in the back to sandwich him so that no one could get in that lane, and he didn't change lanes. So they were like, stay in the slow lane. We're going to be in front. We're going to be in back. Just relax. Don't change lanes. Stay there. No one's going to get in front or behind you.
Yeah.
You're good.
I think you're right.
That's what happened.
I think you're right, because there's just no way that they wouldn't have him pull over.
Yeah. What if some crazy LA driver like cuts in front of him and it's dark and he doesn't have his, his night glasses?
Yeah.
Is there such thing as night glasses?
I think so.
I think I need night glasses.
Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah. Last night I went to go pee. I literally walked into the bathroom and I was like, oh, Yeah, I was worried that you might be there because this has happened.
This has happened twice now. It's so bizarre.
The odds, I figured out, I was sleeping while I was awake for 3 hours last night after being terrified by knocking into your leg in the dark on the toilet because I couldn't see you.
So you have to explain what happened. I was in the middle of the night peeing. It was pitch black. And then Andy walked in and bumped right into me, and it was pitch black, and we were both totally startled. It's just, what were the odds of that happening?
I figured it out in bed. I mean, what was amazing is that I actually gave myself the green light. Like I got to a point where I was like, oh, she's not here. So then I was just going to go for the toilet, and then I felt flesh.
I guess flesh.
Yeah, and I was
suppose
terrified.
The moral of the story is that I should close the door when I'm peeing in the middle of the night, but I don't.
From now on, it's a rule in this house or any house we're in. Close the door when
What's
you're peeing at night.
What's interesting is this doesn't happen at home.
It doesn't because we have 2 bathrooms.
Okay, so what was your point? Night glasses.
My point is I need night glasses.
I don't know if night glasses help you just see in pitch black.
Or like infrared goggles. Like those military goggles. That's what I need to pee at night.
So they drive up to a diner. It's sort of like a 50s themed diner. Would you say 50s?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It was 100% 50s.
It was very cute.
Or at least they made it up to be 50s.
Yeah, but I think that the diner is always that way.
I think it's a 50s diner.
It's a 50s diner.
That used to be a bigger thing. They, in like the 90s or late 80s, at least in New York, 50s diners were a thing.
So they order a milkshake to share, which they end up sharing like Lady and the Tramp style. It was very cute. And she reveals she married her high school sweetheart, just like him. They were married for 42 years. I'm pretty sure Gerry was married to Tony for 43 years. It's really uncanny. Billy passed away and he needed a kidney transplant. And one day he took a turn for the worse and she ran home and watched him take his last breath. So they bond here over the loss of a spouse. And she said something here that really stood out to me. She says that you never imagine that will happen to you. You're like, oh, we'll never be without each other. It's like, yeah, we'll grow old together, but you don't really have that fully fleshed out at the end that one of you might have to live without the other.
Yeah. It's a standard weight of the usual Bachelor conversations.
So Billy has been gone now 8 years. They bond over the loneliness. He's like, I have a lot of friends, but there's I want to be able to share the sunset with someone.
Oh, God.
Okay. And then he leans forward and he looks her in the eye and says, I got to tell you, I really like you a lot.
Stop. I can't do this anymore. It's unbelievable.
It's so beautiful. And this is where I mean, speaking of choosing poorly, I was like, oh, how could I not have put Theresa in my top 4?
That's what you were thinking the whole time while I was sobbing on the couch.
Oh, no, this is not where you sobbed.
Oh, you're right. I was holding in.
You know what this made me think of was when she said this, you never imagine it'll happen to you living without your partner. It made me think of, what was it, episode 3 of that show? The one you made me watch?
Oh, The Last of Us?
Yeah, I was too scared to watch.
With Nick Offerman.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Was it episode 3?
It was episode 3, possibly 4. I'm thinking 3, but that was...
The episode with Nick Offerman.
You know, it was funny because I was watching that show, and I know a lot of people will hate on this, but I wasn't a huge fan of that show. I thought it was good.
Okay.
But I thought it wasn't the phenomenon that people made it out to be.
Well, you don't like supernatural things.
Yeah, but I can do that. That was light. It was supernatural light. I was okay with that.
You can only get into supernatural shows so much. You prefer realism.
Right. But it was good. I was okay with it. I didn't dislike it. I was just saying, I didn't think it deserved the hype. But that episode, I remember reading, I remember it's like Entertainment Weekly or something. It was like, this is the greatest episode of TV ever. I was like, oh yeah, let me see. And it was the greatest episode of TV ever.
Yeah, and I just felt that it perfectly captured what she's talking. Highly recommend seeing that one episode if you haven't seen it. I can't speak for the rest of the season. But that feeling of, you found it. You don't want to think about the end of that rainbow, like the fact that there probably is not a pot of gold waiting for you. Like, I can't even think about it with you. Okay, so let's move on.
I don't even want to think about you not thinking about thinking about it with me. For that high-end look that won't break. For that high-end look that won't break the bank. Quince is the brand that you're gonna thank. Mm-hmm.
Wow, you've replaced your jingles with raps.
Yes, with raps. One single rap.
I'll take one rap, please.
Yes.
One rap about Quince, my new discovery that I am absolutely obsessed with. I am wearing Quince right now.
You are, and you look sleek.
So get this. Not only is this 100% silk, the dress I'm wearing, but it's washable silk.
Ooh.
And I have tested this because
I've washed silk before and it has not turned out well.
that's what normally happens with silk. Yeah. Quince has washable silk pieces. They have a bunch of pieces. It's not just the silk, but some things they say they're washable and then you wash them and you're like, yeah, it was washable and that like, sure, you could put it in the wash, but it doesn't look the same after. This dress I have worn and washed and worn and washed and worn and washed, and it still looks as good as new. And it's silk. And that's on top of the fact that it fits so well. Like a silk dress, normally there's a lot of like issues with it looking good on you.
Also feeling.
Quince creates timeless classics that will never go out of style. Their washable silk is across many pieces. So I also have their button-down t-shirt. I have their knee-length skirt. I have their mini skirt in different colors. Amazing bodysuits. I have several of those too. But the cherry on top with all of this is how affordable their pieces are. We're talking 100% cashmere sweaters for $50. I'm not kidding. Wow. Their prices are 50 to 80% less than you would find with their designery counterparts, except they're every bit as good the quality and they look amazing. They don't look like you got them cheap.
So how do they do it?
Quince partners directly with top factories. So they cut out the middleman and they also take out the sort of oftentimes what you're paying for with that stuff is the label.
And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices.
So take the drama out of planning an outfit and upgrade your wardrobe with Quince today.
Go to quince.com/Shandy for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns.
That's QUINCE.com/Shandy for free shipping and 365-day returns, quince.com/Shandy. So Andy, we may be in Seattle, but our snack of choice remains the same. Mosh is our protein bar of choice and we love it so much. I changed the address on our subscription so that we could continue to receive our Mosh bars here in Seattle. Chocolate crunch. It's good.
When I was a kid, these boxes were the coolest thing in the world.
Like the grocery store display box?
Oh, yeah. Somehow, I don't remember even how I got my hands on it, but if I got my hands on like a whole box of like, let's say baseball card packs or something.
Yeah.
That was it. It was over. Like nothing could top that in that day or that week.
I think I know what you mean. It feels very like official.
It feels like you're important.
And honestly, give it here because I want to have a bite. But seriously, the numbers on these Mosh bars are truly insane. One bar of the chocolate crunch has 140 calories and 12 grams of protein. Look, I've memorized these numbers.
Wow, this is impressive.
8 grams of fiber.
Wow. How much calcium does it have?
I don't know.
I was going to be impressed.
Tell me.
68 milligrams, otherwise known as 6% of your daily intake of calcium.
Now you're just trying to stump me.
Sorry, that's not fair. And it has 100% of your vitamin B12.
Yeah, and also they're keto.
Yeah.
A lot of people are keto now. I would never have tasted this and been like, that's a keto bar.
No.
Because I'm telling you, this thing is my chocolate fix throughout the day. Plus, this is the brain bar. This is Mosh's whole thing. So they have ashwagandha, lion's mane, and omega-3s, which, are good for your brain.
So much so that they were formulated by top neuroscientists and functional nutritionists.
So don't settle for a mediocre snack when you can nourish your body and mind with the fuel it needs to succeed.
Head to moshlife.com/Shandy to save 20% plus free shipping on your first 6-count trial pack.
Again, that's 20% off plus free shipping on your first 6-count trial pack, which includes all 6 mouth-watering flavors. Moshlife.com, moshlife.com/Shandy. Okay, so Theresa says, would you learn to speak Italian with me? We can learn the language and go to Italy together.
Not a single like has been spoken since they sat down.
No, or literally, I don't think.
No. But everything is literally. It's a given that it's literally.
Okay, and Journey's Don't Stop Believing starts playing from the jukebox.
Nice.
And this is as they're talking about their shared hope for the future. And everyone in the restaurant starts dancing flash mob style. Oh my God.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to say.
It's so beautiful.
If you did not cry at this point, you have either not lived long enough or you are a sociopath.
And I wrote, this is where Andy cries. Gerry gives her the rose and they make out and it's just adorable. And I wanted to know what you think, Andy, how much they paid for the usage of this song.
I think they did it for free.
Ooh. You think Journey let the Bachelor franchise used Don't Stop Believing for free?
I take that back. I was trying to make a point.
Okay, I see the point you're making. I mean, I would love it if that were the case.
It's possible. Let's just say it's possible.
It's possible, but the Bachelor franchise has money to spend on the usage of a song.
I think
Journey knows that.
I think Journey, who is also of the age of these folks now, interestingly, I mean, I think they're right around the age. They're right late 60s, 70.
Okay.
Joe Perry, not Joe Perry, Steve Perry.
Oh.
Steve Perry? Oh. Steve Perry.
But Steve Perry doesn't sing in Journey.
He doesn't. He hasn't sung for a long time. But when Steve Perry left, Journey was over. I mean, they make believe there's a Journey now. There's no Journey. Steve Perry was Journey. Let's be honest. To name someone else in Journey. Yeah, exactly. I could barely name Steve Perry, but that's my fault. Anyway, the point is, if they saw the plot line and the characters, and they saw even a sampling, like just a 5-minute clip of this Gerry guy, I think Steve Perry would have been like, you know what? Take it. I got enough money.
Okay, so it's the next day now. Gerry is mid-photo shoot, anticipating the group date. And in his ITM, he says, the mere concept of a group date with 12 women is not normal, not even close. This is the kind of meta I love.
Yeah.
This is so self-aware. I love that they show him saying this.
Yeah.
Like, he's basically ridiculing their own show. I mean, how many seasons have they had group days with even more than 12 people, you know? It's a romance novel cover shoot. So basically the women have to run to their selected outfits. And Andy, you said, I bet you $1 million Leslie picks tie-dye. It was so funny you said this because it was before we even got, it wasn't even a saga, but before we even got the moment where I guess Natasha got to the tie-dye before Leslie, but it showed a very deep understanding of Leslie, Andy, that you said that.
I feel like I know Leslie.
You do?
Yeah. Leslie likes tie-dye.
Okay, so they have different themes here. We don't have to go through in detail, but there's a cute one where Gerry puts on a Fabio wig. That's like the traditional romance novel
what
cover.
Else kind of wig would he put on?
Yeah.
Of course it's going to be a Fabio wig.
Remember, Fabio was the first celebrity I ever met.
I know.
Yeah.
You were really excited, right?
Yeah, I was excited. He signed my Hello Kitty pad.
And how did you know at that point who Fabio was?
I didn't. I was told he was famous.
So you just enjoyed celebrity.
You know, I think you don't appreciate that because you were born and raised in Manhattan. But when you're born and raised in Ottawa, you don't live in a place where you see famous people.
Yeah.
Like, you have this sixth sense. Like, we'll just be out and about and you'll be like, oh, that was so-and-so. That was so-and-so. Like, you just see them around you all the time. You have like eyes in the back of your head. And I'm like, who? What? Like, I'm never thinking that there's a famous person around me.
You might be right. Although when I was a kid, I loved celebrities. I mean, I saw Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson was like the big star of the Yankees when I was a kid.
Oh, don't you have a great story about Reggie Jackson?
It's actually my friend Arthur.
Okay. It's a good story, though.
Yeah. Reggie Jackson was he was a dick.
Okay.
It wasn't nice. And so Arthur saw Reggie Jackson. Arthur was 7 years old, or 8, maybe 8 tops.
Okay. And he was one of your best friends when you were little?
Yeah, he's still one of my closest friends. He saw Reggie Jackson walking towards a limo, and he ran up to him. And Reggie Jackson's getting into the limo. At 20, Arthur looked like he was 10. So imagine how cute he looked at 7.
Okay.
So he runs up to the limo. Reggie Jackson's getting in. Reggie Jackson, by the way, was the most famous athlete in the world at that point.
Okay.
He was like the Michael Jordan of that year. He's getting into his limo. Arthur runs up to him. He's like, hey, Mr. Jackson, can I get your autograph? And as Reggie Jackson is closing the limo door, he says, fuck off, kid.
So harsh.
Yeah.
Is Reggie Jackson still alive?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, I mean, he's like Golden Bachelor level.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if he would still make such choices. And did you have your own Reggie Jackson story?
I did. Actually, my mother did too. She also got dissed by a lot of people I know got dissed by Reggie Jackson.
Okay, all right.
She asked for an autograph. He ignored her. He literally didn't even look at her. My mother went up to Reggie Jackson in a restaurant. He was talking with his manager or something. And she said, oh, my son is a huge fan. He'd be so happy if you just, sign this thing, blah, blah, blah. He never even looked at her. And she just eventually just like sunk into the bushes and left.
Oh, how awful.
Yeah.
That's very un-New Yorker of your mother, though. to ask for
That
an
is.
autograph.
I think it's the only time she's ever done that. And she never did it again.
Shockingly. Yeah, I guess when you're a kid, you're fascinated by celebrity.
Yeah.
I was. Fabio, I was like, he's famous? Okay, I'm
total
interested.
respect. Yeah. Nothing to do with where you grew up.
Okay, so then there's the Summer of Love shoot. This one is the tie-dye, the 70s, and then there's Road to Passion, lots of leather. There's a bridal-themed one. This is very cute all around, but I gotta talk about the photo quality of these shoots.
Oh, yeah.
What's with that?
It's terrible lighting.
Yeah, it's terrible lighting. This what's this guy's name? Franco. He really fell down on this one. Well, I feel like they're not giving him the right equipment. I don't know. I just find it shocking that they're like, yeah, we're going to do this photo shoot. And it looks like worse than you would do with an iPhone.
Yeah.
If you knew one thing about lighting. So meanwhile, Nancy in her wedding dress, because she's one of the wedding dress ladies, starts to cry. And in her ITM, she says the dress brings back emotions and how getting married to her husband was the best day of her life. And when she gets in the photo with Gerry, he's like, how are you doing? She's like, I'm a little teary, but I'll tell you about it later. In this moment, to me, it said a lot about Nancy, that she wasn't like, I'm a little teary. I have to talk about it now and disrupt everything. She kept it together.
Yeah.
Like she was not doing this for the sake of attention,
she
of
was
drama.
doing it for the sake of realness.
So now Gerry sits Nancy down and asks if there's a disconnect. He's like, I'm feeling, what's going on, basically. And she shares what she's going through. And he says he totally understands because there was a day about a year ago where he walked past a bakery and smelled cinnamon. And his wife used to make cinnamon balls at Christmas. And the smell of the cinnamon just got him. He was a mess. They just totally understood each other in this moment. Andy, this got you too.
I mean, come on. Cinnamon.
Yeah.
The smell of cinnamon reminds him of his dead wife. Like, wow, how much more can I take?
I know. What struck me about this is it's not the kind of thing that you expect. Like, actually, a wedding dress, you can be like, okay, that actually might be triggering to put on a wedding dress when you've lost your husband and blah, blah, blah. It was the best day of your life. And it's like he doubled down. He's like, cinnamon.
Yeah.
That thing in all of your kitchens.
Yeah, she's like, ooh, well played.
Yeah. Anyway, she says she still has hope. They hug it out. Notice how there was no kiss.
No.
It was enough for them to have this great conversation, to really come to an understanding with each other and to just seal it with a hug. It meant more. It meant more than if they had kissed.
The kissing in the now I'm going to call the other Bachelor like the non-Golden Bachelor.
Yeah, okay.
I think the Golden Bachelor is now the standard for Bachelor.
Yes.
The kisses mean nothing.
Yeah.
They're rote. They're literally just like, it's like checking off a box.
Yes.
It's like, oh, it's kiss time. Okay, let's do that.
Well, even if it's sort of inappropriate, like I actually think a kiss after this conversation would have been a little inappropriate. Not inappropriate. It's not the right thing to say. It's more like, I don't think that that's really what their conversation needed to culminate with.
I actually think, no, I think inappropriate is accurate. I think it would have been a little weird to have a romantic kiss after sharing that kind of thing. I think it's a hug conversation.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
They just have the right taste. It's better taste.
All the kisses have been real.
Yes. Okay, so now we see a montage of one-on-one time with many of the women. This leads to Leslie now. We learn that she's like a lava cake. I liked this.
Yeah.
She might seem tough on the outside, but she is actually very soft and sensitive.
I mean, it's the lava cake is not tough on the outside, but in relation to the inside, it's tougher. Just to be clear. Actually, if there's one thing I could say about a lava cake I don't like, it's where it's too hard on the outside and gooey on the inside. It's got to be a more easy transition.
Okay, so let's think of something crunchy on the outside that's gooey on the inside. Crunchy.
A bad lava cake.
Or I was thinking one of those fancy pastries, like from Supermoon.
This is, okay. Like one person knows what you're talking about. But
my New Yorkers will know what I'm talking about.
I mean, anyone who does know, they know.
Oh,
but most people do not.
Trust me.
Yeah, Supermoon is unbelievable. But the transition to gooey always has to be gradual in all foods. Mm-hmm. You can't go from hard to gooey. It never works.
I agree that it should be gradual, but I don't think that precludes it from having a crunchy, like.
No, you can't have crunch then goo. You got to have a transition. A lava cake it has to be a soft, light, fluffy cake into goo.
I think I just love dessert more than you.
In conclusion.
Leslie reveals that she also has hearing aids. She shows them to him. And The invitation here is that she wants him to whisper sweet nothings in her ear, which she does do. And then in her ITM, her producer's like, so what did he say? And she's like, some things are better left private.
Wow.
It's cute.
Imagine that.
And as they stand, he says, I'd be really happy with a hug.
A hug.
It's all so wholesome. He'd be happy with a hug. He asks for a hug. It would make him happy. A hug.
How often have you been exhilarated by someone asking for a hug?
It goes to show less is more. It's more powerful, and the eventual kiss will mean more.
Just don't force anything.
Yes.
Nothing's forced in this show.
Everything is so rushed in the other shows.
On the non-Golden Bachelor shows.
When Gerry picks up the group date rose now, he asks to speak with Nancy. I love this. He doesn't give it to her in front of everyone.
Yeah.
He's like, can I speak with you, Nancy? He takes her away for it. He doesn't put everyone else in that position. And as they walk off, we literally hear one woman say, it makes sense.
Wow.
One thing after another. Everything about this show is better and more feel good, more wholesome, more meaningful.
We don't need drama. As a matter of fact, if drama does rear its head, which it will, they're going to bring drama in.
Yeah.
It's going to be my least favorite part. I know it. I don't even need to know what the drama is.
Yeah.
I don't want it. I don't care. I don't want drama. Not necessary.
He gives Nancy the rose and she says it's important. This is in her ITM. She says it's important to her to be seen and listened to. And he did both. You know, I like Nancy. She's growing on me. At first, I thought she seemed a little cold.
No.
And I realize now that Nancy's actually a little bit like me and that she might seem cold, but she's actually kind of shy. And what she really wants is to be, you know, she wants to be brought out of her shell by someone who really sees her.
I agree. Nancy's a classy dame.
She is a classy dame. Very into her. Okay, so now it's the next day. It's Gary's birthday.
Oh.
And he arrives at the mansion and they all surprise him. And Susan gets out of a giant cake, of course.
Yeah.
Susan's great. She talks about how she cooks a lot. Not a big romantic connection there. No. A cute montage of activities and one-on-one time. It's very cute when Gerry says to Natasha that her hugs remind him of his late wife's. And then he goes in for more hugs. Are you going to get through this? Faith says she's been feeling inadequate. These are all fancy girls who love to shop, but she's different. I got to say, this is my one beef I'm going to have with anyone so far on this season. I don't love it when women do this.
Yeah, I don't love it when anyone does this.
Yeah, she's sort of humble bragging and throwing everyone else under the bus by saying this.
It's like the old, the cliche like 80s like guy. It's like the guy in the 80s movie.
Okay.
He's like, I don't play by anybody's rules. I just play by my own rules. Yeah. It's like no one cares. Don't talk about how you play by your own rules. Just play by your own rules. Otherwise, you sound like an idiot.
Faith is like, oh, these other ladies are all so fancy. They love to shop, blah, blah, blah. I, meanwhile, run with the horses and drink from the hose and things like that. Yeah. I was a little like, that's not necessary.
Don't talk about it. Yeah, just do it. Just show it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't love the association with someone being fancy or liking clothes and liking to shop with being someone who's not down to earth who would drink from a hose.
Well, she's judging them. Yes. She's judging those who she is implicitly suggesting are judging her.
Yes. Which I don't think any of them are. No
one's judging anybody. There's a lot of love on this show.
Yeah. So
except for what's her name? That girl who supposedly dated
dated who? Prince?
No.
Oh, Frankie Valli.
Frankie Valli.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah.
It's April.
So
apparently April dated Frankie Valli for years.
Not dated. She was like his side piece for like 30 years.
How did you find that out?
Because I wanted to find out what was going on with April, but you had suggested to me that April was something.
I heard somewhere that April has a podcast or is sort of well known or does something, a radio show. I don't know. You guys
sparked my interest. I don't know, and I never Googled during seasons, which was a dangerous thing. Yeah. I realized afterwards that was a bad call.
When you start Googling, I said don't.
Well, I Googled her specifically, and I found this, and apparently she was having an affair with Frankie Valli for like decades.
Wow. Okay.
Which is crazy.
That is crazy.
I love you, baby.
Yeah, that was our first dance.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
With every Golden Bachelor episode, we're going to reveal another song that had a role in our wedding.
Yeah.
We're going to run out soon. Anyway, okay, so look, I'm not coming after Faith. I just clocked this moment of vulnerability. I'm using air quotes for our listeners. But I think what she's really doing is throwing other people under the bus. I don't even think it's conscious. I don't think she's doing it on purpose. I think
some people do this thing.
It's her own insecurity.
Yeah.
It was the first thing anyone's done on this whole season that I didn't love.
Apostrophe is the place to be if you like your skin and you're really lazy.
I liked that one, Andy.
Oh, yeah?
I like being lazy.
Me too. There's nothing wrong with being lazy because being lazy about things that you can be lazy about and still get the same results.
Oh, that's what it's all about. It's not about being lazy and then not achieving the same results. It's about doing less to achieve the same results.
Very nice. Excellent. We all have more important things to do in our lives than making our skin look beautiful.
I mean, it's really time consuming.
Yeah.
Booking an appointment to see the dermatologist and maybe then going to the pharmacy to get a prescription that you're given. That's where Apostrophe really just lets you be lazy because they connect you with board certified dermatologists. You fill out Apostrophe's online consultation, and this involves taking selfies of your skin. It couldn't be more simple. And then you... Good trout pout. I like that. And then you type out your skincare concerns. So those could be acne or fine lines, wrinkles, you know, the usual suspects. And then you submit that through Apostrophe, and a board certified dermatologist will review your information. And then if they think you need it, they will prescribe you medication. And this could be oral or topical. And I myself have been a long time tretinoin user. And let me tell you, I love the stuff I've gotten through Apostrophe, which I used to, by the way, I used to have to see a dermatologist to get. And now, not only do I save myself the trip to the dermatologist, but that prescription is delivered directly to our door. We don't have to go to the pharmacy.
And if acne is your concern.
Yes, Andy?
They also treat face knee. They also treat chest knee, back knee, and butt knee.
Very good.
Nailed it.
So we have a very special deal for our audience, the Shandys. Right now, you can get your first visit with an Apostrophe provider for only $5 when you go to apostrophe.com/Shandy and enter promo code Shandy. That is a savings of $15, and this offer is only available to our listeners.
To get started, just go to apostrophe.com/Shandy and click Get Started.
Then use our code Shandy at sign up, and you'll get your first visit for only $5. And we thank Apostrophe for sponsoring this episode. Okay, Joan now says that she's had 2 birthdays since her husband passed. It's so cute. They're having this conversation on a top bunk.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cute.
It is.
But you know, even that, this is where I feel 1 hour is not long enough for this show.
Yeah.
Bachelor in Paradise, we're getting too much. We're getting Hannah Brown coming with a bonfire invitation. Ugh. Meanwhile, this, I would have loved to have seen the in-between moments of them ending up on that top bunk, or of the women getting the group date card. You know, we never got that. Suddenly, there's all these women on this group date.
Can I tell you the honest truth? I could watch 1 whole hour of Gerry reading the newspaper on the can.
Oh. Okay. Speaking of missed moments, can we talk about how Marina is suddenly not on the show anymore?
What the hell happened to Marina?
She was my wild card, and I feel very ripped off because she was, in my opinion, a standout on night 1. And apparently at some point she left the season. She did get a rose last week. She was one of the 16 women to move into the house. And Gerry even says at one point, there are 15 women in that mansion. Yeah. So we're down 1, and there's no explanation.
No fanfare.
It's like they thought we wouldn't notice.
It's the most un-Bachelor thing that's ever happened. That would have been an entire episode on the normal Bachelor, on the abnormal Bachelor.
Anyway, Joan says that she struggles to look at photos of her late husband, and Gerry totally understands. He's like, oh yeah, the photos thing, you know, it'll get better. That part will get better. And they share how both of their late spouses told them to go find happiness. Such a touching moment. And Ellen, one-on-one time with Ellen, he gifts her a framed photo of the 2 of them from that photo shoot. And she is so touched by this. She said it made her feel so special, and she hasn't felt special in a very long time.
Oh,
excuse me while I become a puddle on the ground. Oh, so beautiful. This was so beautiful, even though part of me was like, he didn't frame that photo.
Well, let's give it to him.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
If anyone framed a photo in this show, it was Gerry.
That's true.
Yeah. And the fact that it was framed so poorly suggests that
it was framed very poorly.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's the rose ceremony. This is where we realize Marina was suddenly MIA.
What's our theory about Marina? Because we don't Google these things, so we don't know. I think she thought she was going to be a night one. She was like, I'm just going to do this as a gag. She got in too deep. And then she's like, yeah, I can't do this anymore.
I actually think there could be some truth in that. I think that she went through it, thought it wasn't really the right environment for her. It was sort of, there's a lot of waiting and, a lot of, attempted manipulation. I don't know how much manipulation there was going on with this season in particular, but I feel like she was probably like, I don't know if I'm feeling it. I think I'm done.
Or maybe she got to the man. She's like, I'm not staying in a room with a bunch of women. I'm not doing this. Maybe she's too fancy.
I mean, I can picture that. Marina has 3 master's degrees.
Can I tell you something? If anyone in that entire house is turning their nose up to staying in a room with 4 other women, I think it's Marina. And I'm not judging. It's not a derogatory thing. I just think that she's the one.
By the way, staying in a room with 4 other women would be getting one of the good rooms.
Yeah. Marina thought she was getting a suite. She's like, I got 3 masters. I'm getting a suite.
Gerry opens this rose ceremony by saying they were recently strangers, but now he considers them all friends. I have to mention my best dressed, Christina. She's wearing a sequined floral dress with this interesting draping. It's one shoulder and it's got this fringe coming off it. It's knee length. It's just beautiful, interesting, different. It's just such a distinct personal style.
I think it's a function of that I don't have a great eye for fashion and I was very engrossed by the storyline. But if someone put me up against a wall, gun to my head, they said, I got your whole family tied up in a basement. All you have to do is answer this one question. And they said, what's her name?
Christina.
What? Yeah.
This is going well.
Start. What was Christina wearing in episode 2 at the cocktail party?
Yeah.
Family's dead.
Oh. Well, okay. Thankfully, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Okay, so 10 women get roses at this rose ceremony. That's in addition to Theresa and Nancy. So going home are Jeannie, Natasha, and Peggy. And Gerry cries before even handing out that last rose. Every single rose ceremony, it's like a death blow. I don't know why this is so traumatic. It's so upsetting.
It's brutal. I mean, in the end, I guess Natasha's hug wasn't good enough.
Okay. And that brings us to the credits. Natasha in her ITM says that the show needs to do chair rose ceremonies.
I mean, this was great.
Her delivery of this is so good.
I want to see more Natasha.
I mean, she's so right.
How funny.
Just standing there. You're standing there sometimes for hours.
It's funny. There's been like 50 seasons of this. And finally someone says that.
I know. And she said it so simply, too. Yeah. She's like, a chair rose ceremony. Chairs.
How funny is it that that's her departing thought?
She will be forever remembered for that.
Forever.
Okay, so Andy, it's time for your A game. Who wins?
I not only give the A game to Gerry, and I know it's kind of a cop-out to give it to the lead.
It is.
But I'm giving it to him.
Okay.
No, he's just superhuman. I think that there should be a new Academy Award category for reality TV.
Okay.
And he's the only nominee. He wins. He's the greatest reality TV person of all time.
He's pretty perfect.
He can't be better. He's better than AI. I was even watching a story on the news yesterday, on the nightly news.
Okay.
I was watching about AI, how they were like, these educators, they read someone's actual essay for college admission, and then they read an AI version. And honestly, I can't tell the difference. Ooh. But they immediately tell. They're just like, it doesn't sound human. It sounds too well written, like too perfect.
That's what it is. That's what tips them off. Yeah, it's too good.
He's even better. He's so good that he can't be AI because he's not too perfect.
Wait, so in what way is he not too perfect?
Oh, I don't know. Didn't think that went through.
I'm thinking like, lab grown diamonds, they're too perfect. So now they're purposely putting like inclusions in them and like making the color not exactly right so that they can look realistic. I mean, Gerry's too perfect. I think he is AI.
Maybe that he was stressed out driving on the highway.
But even that,
that's what AI would have done.
That's one of the inclusions.
Wait a minute. So he is AI. I'm arguing that he's AI.
We both are.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Gerry's AI, definitely. That was the point.
All right, Andy, that brings us to our word watch. There were 2 journeys in this episode. And how many correct guesses?
91.
And our winner is Carla Jeggle. Congratulations. You are the winner of $100 to spend at one of my all-time favorite Etsy shops, Furano Studio. I'm wearing her earrings right now. They went with my fit. And so please email us by this Monday at midnight to claim your prize. And
East Coast.
Oh, East Coast. Thank you.
Not because the East Coast is the best. Just because we decided East Coast.
Well, we are
from the East Coast.
Yeah,
so we bring the East Coast with us.
Okay, so Andy, what is the word for next week?
Fairy tale.
Ooh, okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So if you want to join in the Shandy Word Watch fun and have a chance to win a prize, you must guess the number of times you predict the word fairy tale. It's one word. Fairy tale.
I think fairy tale is one word. Yeah. It's not fairy
tale. You're right. Yeah. The word fairy tale is uttered in episode 3. So you will guess the number of times you think it'll be said by anyone. You must do so using the numeral. So don't write out the word 2 or whatever. You just use the numeral, and you must do so by commenting either below this YouTube video or over on the Instagram post for this recap. And you must do so by Monday at midnight. And if you follow those rules and guess correctly, your name will be entered in a draw, and then one person's name will be chosen, and that person will win. We have a new prize this week, $150 to spend at Frankly Apparel. Huge fan of Frankly Apparel. They are one of our earliest sponsors. They make clothes with built-in bra situations. So you don't need to wear a bra with their stuff.
I still can't figure out how they do it.
Neither can I, but it's great. Let me tell you. Okay, so submit your guesses, and shall we move on, Andy?
Let's move on.
All right, that brings us to our predictions. Who do you have in your top spot, Andy?
I've got Ellen.
Still?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I feel Ellen.
I've joined you.
Really?
Yeah, last week I had Faith, but...
You've lost faith in Faith?
This was the episode where, and there was some foreshadowing of them showing Faith sort of losing confidence. And I didn't really love less confident Faith. I mean, I'm being so unforgiving. I recognize that. But I mean, we're recapping. The whole point of us recapping is to have opinions. And this was just
also an unforgiving show.
It is. It is an unforgiving show, especially to someone who gets the first impression rose. And then it's very easy to feel left behind. I think we have to note too, I don't think Faith was on that group date.
No, she wasn't.
Like, this is the stuff we have to see because I think Faith was left behind. I don't think she went on the group date, but we never saw that scene. Usually that's something they milk. Anyway, my point being, we saw Faith kind of crumble a little, like she started to lose her confidence. And Ellen, meanwhile, there's always consistent. We always see a bit of her every episode.
Yep.
And what they share is so sweet. It's so cute. And he was like, I love your personality. He loves her personality.
He loves her personality.
Okay, so I've joined you in that top spot. Okay, so who do you have second?
The Theresa's pulled up.
Yeah, I feel ashamed that we didn't put her there early.
We both wanted to, but we felt that she was too goofy that first episode.
Yeah, I remember thinking that she was the type to go all in too fast and kind of lose her way.
Yeah, she was getting the all in too fast edit.
Yes. Yeah, totally. But this date that they shared was very sweet, and she was very nurturing in a way that I think Gerry appreciates. So I also have her in second.
I also think that this was the best date I've ever seen on the franchise.
Oh, Andy. I mean, it's the first time you've ever cried.
All right.
All right. And who do you have in your third spot?
I've got my dark horse, Nancy.
Okay. So Nancy went from being your wild card last week, such a good wild card.
Yeah.
And you have her in third now. Okay. I respect that. I have bumped Leslie up. So she also wasn't on my list last week. And I'm also feeling remorse about that. But she is our resident lava cake. And I think that Gerry likes softies. That's what I'm going with.
Not feeling it.
Oh, you don't feel Leslie?
No.
Yeah, you never have.
No, I don't think she's Gary's type.
Okay, who do you have in your fourth spot?
Still clinging on to Faith.
Okay, yeah, I've bumped Faith down to the same spot. So we both have her in fourth. Yeah. You know, I'm sure that she'll pull ahead again. I don't think that Gerry would give his a first impression rose to just anyone.
No, she's going to bust out the guitar. That's going to bring her back.
Okay, I want to make a bid for a new wild card.
You can't do that.
I was robbed. My wild card just vanished.
You know, I've wanted to do this on past seasons and you wouldn't let me. But I'll give it to you because I'm a forgiving person.
No, that's when they get eliminated or whatever. They haven't just disappeared.
We'll make an exception. You get another wild card.
Okay, so the other person I was debating having as my wild card last week was Joan. So I'm going to go with Joan. And I'm not saying that because I talked on the top bunk. Obviously that helps. But I swear it was between Marina and Joan. And I chose Marina and I chose poorly.
You did chose poorly. But this is something you would not lie about. My wife would not lie about this.
Yeah, can you imagine if I lied about that? That would be just so pathetic.
It's ridiculous.
Okay.
You don't stoop that low.
No, I stand by it. When I make poor predictions, I can live with it.
No, you do.
Okay, that brings us to the end, Andy. I'm so happy that episode 2 was as good as episode 1. Because you never know. Sometimes episode 2 takes a downward turn, but it did not. Golden Bachelor is solid.
Delivers.
It does deliver. It delivers tears. If you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we will ask of you, and that is to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram and
TikTok,
leave us Apple and
Spotify
podcast ratings and reviews. Tell your friends and generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast you enjoy. I forgot to say this at the top. I will get better at that. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye-bye.